Okay, we're smack on 1 o'clock. I'm going to let people keep joining in, give it a few more seconds. But to everyone on the call, welcome. We are going to encourage you, as you can see on the slide in front of you, to join Slido so that you can be part of the conversation and start engaging in the discussion with all of us. Okay, good. We're just going to start. Welcome, everyone. This is the Women in Nuclear Finance inaugural webinar. And this is the first time that we are meeting with everyone who has supported Women in Nuclear Finance or is a speaker or a founder or partner of it. So before we go any further, I think we just have to put a small little disclaimer on it because this is a conversation about finance. Everything we say, take it with a pinch of salt, do your homework, get some due diligence. You'll hear a little bit about what the word due diligence is in a little bit. Actually, before we go on, let me do an agenda, what we're going to talk about here. I'm going to set the scene in the first couple of minutes here. And then I'm going to allow every one of our panelists to introduce themselves. We're going to do a little bit of an overview on exactly what is Women in Nuclear Global, against which Women in Nuclear Finance is sitting. Then we'll go into a couple of questions that might give you an overview in terms of what the intention is for this group here. So, what is Women in Nuclear Finance? It is, as I say, firstly, a gender-inclusive institution and organization. So it comes under the name Women In, but as you can see shortly from our panelists, we want everyone to be part of the conversation. We are going to be obviously highlighting technical expertise amongst women, but the idea is to engage with everyone for the benefit of securing financing across what we call the nuclear life cycle, right from the very start of its development all the way across to its decommissioning. So the idea of why we need a group for financing is because it's proving to be quite challenging, as we've seen in the recent market, to raise finances. We're also going to be talking in this conversation about what exactly is the various different sections that fall within the conversation along financing. And then we're going to have a little bit of a conversation from the audience. Throw your questions into the Q&A chat. As I've said, please join Slido and we will have a little word cloud and poll taken with you. And then finally, we're just going to end with a conversation of what do we expect? What are the next steps for Women in Nuclear Finance? Alrighty, so let's go. And with our very, very first question, which is an introduction on the panel. So I'm going to start with the Women in Nuclear Global. Over to you, Melina. Tell us a little bit about who you are specifically. So this is the introduction of the panel, where I'm going to go around the panel, give you 2 minutes to introduce literally who you are. Melina, over to you.
Thank you so much, Doreen. Good day, everyone. I am Melina Belinco. Almost my entire career has been at the National Atomic Energy Commission of Argentina, where I have grown professionally while also contributing to our country's nuclear innovation. I am currently serving as Deputy Manager of Technical Cooperation, and I'm also National Liaison Officer to the International Atomic Energy Agency. And along the way, I've had the privilege to work across academia, international policy, and also mentoring at organizations like the IAEA and also the World Nuclear University. I have long been committed to leadership development, driven by a deep passion for it. I am convinced that true leadership is not about hierarchy, but about action, about human acts rooted in listening, in solidarity, and shared purpose. And this spirit inspires me, strengthens also our global community, and drive us to amplify diverse voices while shaping the future of energy. And outside of work, I research with Argentina's beloved passion, as you may know, football, and also by enjoying life with family, friends, drawing energy from every small joy to keep moving forward with purpose and also optimism. And as you may know, for just over a year, I've had the honor of serving as the president of WiN Global. My son, nearly 1 year and a half, was born during our leadership election, and my WiN Global colleagues affectionately call him WiN Global's son. So it's a daily reminder of the energy, hope, and future we are nurturing together. Thank you.
Fantastic. Lovely to have you on the call, Melina. So now over to the two gentlemen who are sitting here in the room, Alexandre and Jean-Gabriel. May I allow you to introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Thank you very much, Doreen. Nice to meet you, everybody. Yes, my name is Alexandre Milosevic. So I started my career as a nuclear engineer at Commissariat à l'Énergie Atomique and at the National Institute of Radio Protection and Nuclear Safety in France. And for 15 years now, we work alongside the nuclear supply chain, the nuclear industrials, and the nuclear engineers that work and provide that services and products to this nuclear supply chain. We work at Miller Insurance. So yes, here our mission is mainly to identify any issue they may have towards their own clients and to identify, analyze their risk exposures and to identify if there is complete, consistency between the protection in terms of a contract with a commercial contract and their insurance contract as well. And if it's needed, we try to set the best insurance protection.
And we will speak about what Miller does later in the conversation. Yes. And so now we want to showcase you and maybe tell us a little bit about your career history in a few seconds, and then move over to Jean-Gabriel to talk about who you are.
Career history is done as an engineer, and I met sociology as well in science. When talking about all the controversy between what is the truth in science, or to provide good results in science, and how the politics can merge with science in order to provide some interesting results. So it was the kind of studies that I made by the past. And I also passionate with chess game.
Okay, yes. All right. Well, we have to hear more about that as we go along.
Yes.
Jean-Gabriel, tell us very briefly who you are personally.
Who I am personally. So I've been working with Alexandre now for 15 years. It's really important for my career because I'm not a former engineer. So I discovered the nuclear sector with Alexandre, and it's a pleasure. And we had the privilege of welcoming a number of you at the World Nuclear Exhibition. So I am 51. As you hear at my accent, I'm French, and I'm not quite good in philosophy, but I love the free market, if you want to know. Yes, I'm a specialist of the chair and the side chair, especially from the 60s, 70s, and the 80s.
Brilliant, fantastic. So chess player and a proponent of the free market. Okay, all right. And now over to Hermina, please, Hermina.
Yes, hello, Doreen. So I'm Jimena Vasquez Mignon. I'm originally from Chile, but now based in Paris and I'm French. I am a project finance lawyer. I've been practicing for 30 years. First, I was working in the water sector for 6 years, and then I discovered nuclear when I was hired by EDF in order to go to Beijing in China, where I stayed for 8 years. And since 2003, then I've been working exclusively on nuclear projects. First with EDF, then in private practice for a short while, then at the OECD Nuclear Energy Agency, where I stayed for 11 years, and I was the head of the Office of Legal Counsel. And finally, here I have joined WiN Case in 2022, where I'm coordinating their nuclear activities worldwide. And so definitely I have quite a number of years of experience in different types of approaches with regard to nuclear, not only as an owner, as we were at EDF, but also as a supplier. And as also I've been working with governments and with all that. So maybe I'll skip to that for the time being.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jimena. And thank you to you and your team for the hospitality. So I and the two gentlemen here are at the offices of WiN Case. So at the kind invitation of WiN Case. Let's move on to Lou, please.
Hi, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon. I'm Lou Martinez. I'm currently the CTO and EVP of R&D and Innovation in Westinghouse. I mean, my career is very diverse. I'm a scientist by training, but in life science with a specialty in biomechanics, and I'm also a human factors engineer. So therefore, I started my career in the pharma industry. I've been in the automotive for 10 years, and I always say nuclear chose me. So in the year 2010, there were some struggles building the large reactors. And basically, my first job in nuclear was to work on the on-time delivery of the EPR. So I started my nuclear career in France. And I've been in the United States for the last 10 years, working also in startups. The last 15 years, a lot of work related to SMR Generation 4. That has been my path of work. And I have a PhD in public health and environmental health with an angle that is very particular for nuclear. Is basically the costing of nuclear and how it's affecting the environmental health of the communities where actually it's being developed. And right now we are living a very intensive moment in nuclear. We need to build a lot of plants. We need to restart a lot of those plants, and we need actually to keep maintaining the plants that we have up and running. And finance is a critical piece of it, much more actually or equal to me than the technology piece of it. So I'm super happy and proud and honored to be part of this Women in Nuclear Finance. I'm married, I have 2 kids, and hopefully, I mean, both of them, they want to follow STEAM. My oldest is already in the 3rd year studying, is a junior studying physics. And the youngest one is in 10th grade, high school. And she also wants to be an engineer. So we'll see what it takes, but they are very involved into my career, what I do, and obviously they know about women in nuclear, and I always share with them because I know they can share that with their teammates, and it's a good moment as well to utilize our family and friends to pass what is actually nuclear, what we do, and try to bring obviously more capabilities and skills into our industry.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Fantastic, Lou. Thank you for that. Brilliant. And Eva, let me give you the floor to introduce yourself, and I see thereafter Mrs. Mu.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for that, Doreen, and thank you for organizing this webinar and for inviting us all. So my name is Eva Can. I'm currently the technical leader of WiN Global since the elections 1.5 years ago as part of Melina's team. I'm in charge of leading the groups, all the groups that are part of these groups of expertise. So I was very happy about the establishment of a group that would tackle the financial aspects of financing. I am a former IAEA nuclear safeguards inspector and former senior nuclear export control specialist, having worked both at the IAEA for more than 30 years and in the UAE for 6 years on the Baraka project and other nuclear export control related matters in the UAE. I am now kind of semi-retired, based in Vienna. I'm very busy with WiN Global, but also with many other things. I am a mentor. I am at different institutions and for different people. I want to share my knowledge. I organize the activities of the groups and of my own group as well, which is WiN for Peace. And I also have a big family. I have 5 kids, 3 kids and 5 grandkids, and I have a dog. So I'm busy the whole day.
Fantastic, Eva. And Dominique Muir, Mrs. Muir, introduce a little bit about who you are and tell us a little bit about your career and what you're doing right now.
Okay, thank you very much. My background is I am an engineer in chemistry, and I started my career in the Atomic Energy Commission. And then I can say that I have now 50 years of experience in the nuclear industry, the French one and the international one. Half of my career was in health physics, radio protection, and nuclear measuring instrumentation. And the second half in nuclear services, decommissioning, engineering, as the CEO of technological companies. Today, I am working in a French group named Nuvia as director of the strategy for the group. And recently, I have been named director of the Spanish country, where we have just acquired a company. I have been involved in WiN since many years. First through WiN France, as president of WiN France, then president of WiN Europe and co-founder. And I was, before Melina, the previous president of WiN Global for 4 years. As Eva, I have 2 dogs. I have horses, and my dogs are attending to the webinar. And I have horses, and I still ride my horses. So I am very busy and very happy. Thank you.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Really lovely to have you here, Ms. Muir. And also, I'm ashamed because we did see you for a few seconds, but it's gone now. But nonetheless, the very first question now goes to you within the, now that we've done our introduction. Tell us a little bit about the history of Women in Nuclear Global, when and how it was created, and what did you do for WiN Global? You've got 2 minutes to talk about this, please.
So WiN Global was founded in Switzerland in November 1992 with the help of the European Nuclear Society. The first president elected was Irene Egerter, who was president from 1992 until 1996. And the constitutional members were, as countries, I don't give you the names, as countries were Switzerland, France, Finland, Germany, Sweden, USA, and Canada. And why these ladies decided to found WiN Global? It's because at this time, women were really afraid of nuclear and were voting to phase out of the nuclear energy. And women representing 50% of the humanity It was really a big problem. And Chernobyl occurred. So these ladies decided to found WiN Global to speak of the nuclear energy, nuclear industry, women speaking to women, to make women safer with the nuclear energy. And it was the motivation of the creation of WiN Global. Okay. What I did, as I told you, I have been president of WiN France for 12 years, co-founder and the president of WiN Europe during 5 years. And when I was president of WiN Global, I think that all together with the team, we won in, we got more visibility, legitimacy, and what I could say that we did during this presidency is to create the WiN Global Young Generation Group, which is now a very active group with about 60 countries and 500 young people. We have created about 10 groups of expertise, and we have had as well, we have founded new chapters. For instance, a new international chapter from NEA. We had a new chapter in Italy, which is very significant for a country which went out from the nuclear energy 30 years ago. And we have founded chapters in Africa and a regional chapter in Middle East.
Fantastic. And maybe, I can then, just because we are short on time,
okay.
That's really helpful to hear how you've been part of the founding of WiN Global. And I'll pass it on now to Melina to take maybe 2 minutes to talk about what WiN Global does now and under your role as the president.
Yes, thank you, Doreen. Well, as Dominic mentioned, WiN Global is a volunteer-based organization and legally registered in Austria. We have over 35,000 members with more than 60 chapters in over 50 countries, what make us truly global. Our leadership structure, me also tell you a few words on that. Our structure embodies the principle of collective leadership. Maybe you can also see the faces of our diverse leadership team. At the global level, we have a steering committee with 2 vice presidents, Hasna Al-Blushi from the UAE and Amal El-Rafai. She is from Egypt, working at the IAEA. Our Secretary General is senior from Malawi, and our treasurer, Amy Soter, from the USA, based in Vienna, and also originally from Ethiopia. And of course, our advisor, past President Dominique Mouillot. Operationally, we are supported by 9 team leaders, each focusing on strategic areas, including mentoring, awards, young generation, the groups of expertise, of course, sponsorship, annual conferences, gender communication, digital communication, chapter support, and I think awards that I didn't mention. And apart from the steering committee, we also have our executive committee and the board where all chapters are represented, reflecting our commitment to diverse perspectives and also shared decision making. I must also highlight that all our leadership team represent different generations, different disciplines, different regions, countries, as I have already mentioned. And WiN Global's 5 key actions today include nurturing women and girls globally. I mentioned our passion about leadership development. We have different programs, mentorship, career pathways, and also skills training. Through these different tools, we equip women to thrive in the nuclear sector, while also inspiring girls to pursue STEM and nuclear careers. Lou, she also mentioned how she is inspiring the next generation. So our active members, they are our ambassadors at every corner of the world. Second key action, promoting responsible nuclear technologies. We elevate humans, yes, and women's, especially voices in strategic conversations. Also highlighting their technical expertise across key areas of the sector, especially through our groups, as it is the case of WiN Finance. Third key action, strengthening global and local connections. We foster regional leadership and also locally owned initiatives that feed into a global network, ensuring trust, also collaboration and shared purpose across continents. You might have seen and heard about our flagship regional events in our different regions. Dominique mentioned that we have 4 regional chapters. Fourth action, advancing equal opportunities in nuclear. We advocate for inclusive policies, equitable representation, and also safe, innovative work environments where everyone can lead and innovate. And last but not least, inspiring future generations. I mentioned also our young generation group. We actively engage through this group, not only youth, but all communities, co-developing knowledge and solutions for energy and climate change challenges, especially within the framework of the COP. And I think in honor of time, Dominique, and Doreen, I stop here.
Brilliant. Thank you, Melina. Clearly, so much to consider here. And I think it's particularly interesting what between Dominique and you have shared that it's a global presence that WiN Global has. And now I come across to Eva Jean. Eva, tell us something more about what we're calling the Women in Nuclear Technical Expertise Groups, please.
So hello again. So as I said, I became the leader of WiN Global's groups of expertise 1.5 years ago. Those groups were established gradually in the course of time over the years and have been growing since. Okay, so what are these groups of expertise? So those are groups of WiN Global members who are active in specific nuclear-related subject areas. They are usually supported by at least 2 key partners. Those key partners don't provide financial support, but they do provide support in expertise or in hosting webinars and different activities. And the objectives of those groups of expertise can be summarized by, first of all, they promote the expertise and all that experience that is available within the WiN Global membership in various strategic areas of the nuclear sector. They also highlight the work that is done by WiN Global's nuclear professionals. They seek to spread the technical knowledge amongst the members of WiN Global, in particular to pass on the information from the experienced people to the younger people. And also many times speakers are being sought for at conferences or panels. So this is like a pool of experts who can be tapped into to be invited to speak at different events. Let's now look what groups we currently have. So we have a group for experimental installations. We have a group for nuclear law. We have a group which looks at the peaceful aspects and the framework that ensures the peaceful uses of nuclear energy, which I am leading. We have a group responsible for nuclear innovation. We have another group responsible for emergency preparedness and response. Then we have experts on nuclear security, nuclear medicine, and radiopharmaceuticals. Doreen, you can see your group is not yet there. That comes on the next page. So we have new groups. The first one that has already been established is the financing group for finance. And we are also under establishment of a reactor group, especially for SMRs. Another group that is being established is for nuclear applications. Then we have nuclear fuel and the transport of nuclear and radioactive material. And last not least, I would like to mention the decommissioning group, which is currently looking for new leadership. So why should you join any of our groups of expertise? If you are an expert, you could contribute towards WiN Global's pool of nuclear professionals and showcase your work and highlight what you are doing. And you could also support young WiN Global members who want to acquire specific subject matter expertise by sharing your knowledge and letting them participate and participating in the activities. Whereas if you are a young WiN Global member, you have the opportunity to collaborate with experienced WiN Global members, and you can take advantage of the existing knowledge within WiN Global completely free of charge. And you can do this by learning by doing through your active involvement. So we plan the following events. We have regular webinars, for example, by my group, it's 8 to 10 webinars per year. We also have a running webinar by the Innovation and my group on emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, robotics, additive manufacturing, etc. We will have a workshop at the WiN Global Conference 2026. We also had some educational and training events like Newcomer for Nuclear, and we have different mentoring opportunities by the various groups. So why should you join? You have nothing to lose and you can only benefit by what we have to offer. Thank you.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you for that. And now, I suppose, before I go into introducing anyone else further, let me introduce who I am, the speaker here. So I'm Doreen, and I run Fresco Clean Tech Solutions as an independent financial consultant. But I refer to myself as what I call a recovering banker. I've spent a lot of time doing project financing, private equity, and also structuring power purchase agreements. And the idea is to bring that financing knowledge to share with whoever joins Women in Nuclear Finance. Before I go on to introduce the initial partners who are part of Women in Nuclear Finance, so we've had the founder, who is Fresco Clean Tech Solutions, and the three partners, which you've seen now, Miller, the two gentlemen here, White and Case, Hermina, and Lou from Westinghouse. And we'll hear from each of them in the what we call the nuclear supply chain or the nuclear life cycle. So I'm going to run through this very quickly and due to timing, but this diagram is a very simplified nature of how complex financing can be in the world of developing any project, let alone nuclear. But the key things are three categories. First, you've got to develop the project, and that includes technology development and project development. Then you've got to finance the project, and which is the purpose of this Women in Nuclear Finance, to showcase all the different kinds of financing structures that have been used in the past, which we consider bankable, using that phrase to mean that it has been accepted by the investors and lenders to those different structures. And then the third category is once the plant is operational, it then needs to start looking towards decommissioning at some stage in the future, but you've got to plan the financing for that decommissioning even at that development stage. So these three categories are represented by our three initial partners, because we will find out that none of the financing can be done without a good technology, without good due diligence. And the two due diligence sectors that we'll be looking at here will include insurance and legal, but there are other due diligence that we need to consider, which we'll go through as we learn more about financing. So that's financing in a nutshell, and we will have individual webinars to address the different aspects of financing, the different types as well to it. So I'm going to run very quickly into the very first partner that we have. But in the meantime, everyone, I want you to please join Slido so that we can get you on the polls when we come to the Q&A, and also not to forget to join Women in Nuclear Finance, because what you're hearing today is just the very introduction to it. So over to you, the gentleman from Miller Insurance. Tell us a little bit about the role that insurance plays in nuclear.
Okay, thank you. I would say that our mission that is given by our clients is, at the end of the day, to provide, let's say, the most efficient transfer of risk they have. And the way to do that is to be very humble, to listen to our client very carefully, because, talking about nuclear exposures when you are nuclear suppliers, it's quite tough. So yes, the first thing is in our job is to be alongside our nuclear suppliers' clients, of course, to make the first risk analysis of their industrial exposures, depending on their operation, of course. It's not the same thing if you are an engineer or if you are a provider or manufacturer of, let's say, some materials that are installed into a nuclear installation, a nuclear power plant or other. It could be a submarine, for example. So yes, you can imagine. So that the exposure is very different. And this is the first part of the job, the work. The second part is the analysis of the contractual commitments. And I'm not talking here about the legal one, because we are not lawyers, of course. We are just here to analyze let's say, the match, the consistency between the commitments in commercial contract between a nuclear supplier, our client, and nuclear operators or tier one supplier. And the second part, it's because here we are just at the midterm of the path. The second part is to identify if there is a very consistency with the contractual commitment in an insurance contract, because it's huge and very important to avoid any gap of protection, insurance protection, when we are talking about a nuclear sector, because you have lots of tricky exclusions in the nuclear market, in the insurance market, within the insurance contract, especially in casualty and property. So it's we have to be very careful in the analysis of the contractual commitments. And at the end, if there is any need from our clients, we can provide new capacities of insurance alongside the brokers, the insurer, the reinsurers, and capacities of insurance in order to be sure, to be comfortable towards our clients that it could develop their activities worldwide with very complete offer of insurance, very protected offer of insurance.
And it's really important because the nuclear sector is, as you know, composed of numerous companies, and some of which are not, they are too small to have insurance services or risk manager. So they represent a really high value that we have to protect them.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And we've talked about the insurance, and I thought I'd start there first because that's a risk that needs to be mitigated, and it also proves that the risk can be mitigated. But before we get anywhere into the nuclear project, we need technology. So Lou, let me bring you in here, and for the next 4 to 5 minutes, tell us a little bit about what sort of technology you represent.
Hi. I mean, it's a very interesting question, how we relate actually finance with technology to deliver these projects. One of the things in nuclear, as you know very well, and obviously we are passionate about this field, and nuclear is great, answer a lot of the problems of the energy dilemma. We still have some issues on the delivery model, especially related to cost or certainty and schedule certainty. And those are very related also, of course, on finance. And I really have enjoyed the how you have presented the new models that actually are coming into our industry. So on the technology side, what I'm seeing is a lot of work that is being done to build that delivery model to give more cost certainty. So the financial community feels much better to make those loans, those PPAs and off-takers, and actually financing something that they know that is gonna be actually delivered. I know that usually we discuss on nuclear about cost overruns, like one of the major roadblocks to build more nuclear. But when you discuss with actually the operators and the ones that are buying that energy from nuclear power, and even more the people and the developers of those projects, is the certainty. So I'm seeing one of the technologies, obviously, the modularity of the reactors is going to be critical. I mean, in Westinghouse, as you know, the AP1000 is fully modular. It helps on that certainty. To develop modular reactors, you need to go into a lot of very complex digital and technical tools to be sure that actually all the supply chain can actually deliver the pieces of those models on time and on cost. So the digitalization is super critical. How it's being designed is critical. And obviously, all that means that you have a lot of data and lessons learned, especially when you have started your lessons learned and it's not a first-of-the-kind reactor. It allows us to utilize technologies like artificial intelligence to actually reduce that cost certainty and build business models and risk assessments for the financial community, that they understand better the certainty of the project. So today, when you have a reactor that has been already built, and you take like the 14 major families of risk, construction is still the one that is still at high risk. And that is where a lot of those technologies like AI and new models, digital, robotics is going to prove to the financial community and also to the, I will say, the assurance community that actually it can work. So that is in a nutshell, Doreen, what I think is happening and the connection between the delivery model and the financial. And that's why I think this group is so critical to put that people together. First, for the financial community as the ones that we have represented here today, to understand better the model that you put on the slide 6. And secondly, for us to understand what we need to answer to the financial community. There's still a lot of education. I mean, I'm invited a lot of times to close rooms just to educate the financial community about what is nuclear, how you build a project, what are the highest level risk. And that point of certainty, more than the amount that it costs, it is always critical. And secondly, is how all those pieces on this map that you are showing, Doreen, actually integrate together, because this is a big shift versus how nuclear has been built in the precedents between the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where basically a utility just contract a project, buy a design, and it was super simple. But then all the financial risk was in the utility and the vendor on the technology. I think in this model that you are presented, that risk, it is more divided and make it more feasible. Technology allow us to share that technology and get that cost certainty easily. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Lou, and also for the fact that you're up joining us right from DC. It's 8 o'clock in the morning your time. Now, I leave this image up specifically in introducing our next speaker, who's one of the three initial partners from a legal firm. And Himini, welcome to put your camera on, because I have to reiterate the complexity of what we are going to have to bring together. And all of that complexity usually sits within the lawyer's office. And so, Hamina, I turn it over to you to explain what you do and what role a legal firm plays in the nuclear support.
Thank you, Doreen. Yes, definitely. As you could see, for those who are not familiar with project finance, already any project finance is complex because of the number of contracts that interact between each other. You have to have also a project that is bankable, so that the banks are willing to finance, and you have to take that into account in each of the different contracts. So I must say that I was very happy, because when I joined WiN France, one of my big messages was be careful, because when you're doing your projects, you do need to have engineers, you do need to have technical people, but you do need to have lawyers. Otherwise, you won't have your contracts and you won't have your projects. So I was very humbled to be honored by having a Femme Energia prize in 2023. I think it was the first lawyer to have that prize in France. As a senior, of course, women category. And it was really a pleasure, because we do need to work together, the lawyers, the financial sector, the engineers, the technical people, in order to set up all these different contracts, which are extremely complex. We all know already that nuclear energy, technically speaking, is complex. So try to put that in a contract. So it's we do, as a lawyer, need to understand a bit what nuclear is. So there is a lot of education, as just Lou said, not only with regard to the financial sector, but also with regard to the lawyers. Because, as you know, nuclear for a very long time was mostly public. There were only a few lawyers that worked on financing nuclear projects. And so it is an expertise that needs to be developed. So WiN Case is very engaged in different groups. For example, in the European Industrial Alliance for SMRs, I am co-leading, in fact, a drafting team in charge of the financial aspects, how to finance SMR projects in the EU by the private sector. I'm also chairing the World Nuclear Association and Energy Users Panel that brings together SMR vendors and energy-intensive industries, as well as, and that's what I hope, and I invite everybody also to join that, financial and insurers, in order to try to develop the different type of schemes that we will need to have SMRs for the industry. One of the main topics that also raises a lot of concern is what happens when there is a nuclear accident. So the nuclear sector has a very specific regime called nuclear liability that in fact focuses on the operator. So as you know, the operator is the entity that is liable for safety, but it's also liable in case there is a nuclear accident. It has to compensate, in fact, victims that suffer damage caused by ionizing radiation. And so this, in a certain way, is very important, because it structures the project and also it allocates part of the risk. And the regulatory aspect of nuclear is extremely heavy, as we know. And so there is some limitations also to what the lenders may request. And so there is a lot of innovation to be done. So we're innovating in the nuclear sector, technically speaking, but we need to also innovate in the financial sector in order to see how we can finance by the private sector all these new projects, but also multilaterals. As you know, the World Bank is now interested in potentially financing new build. So that is going to be also a lot of education to be done with regard to the different newcomers of the financial industry. Thank you, Laurie.
Brilliant. Thank you, Hermina. I think you've only provided us maybe not 0.001% of the knowledge that sits behind you, that's for sure. But we appreciate the need for all of the various entities that sit within the nuclear life cycle. And I come back to this image just to maybe for the audience to recognize. So we've got the shareholders, who are the equity investors, the people who put money into it, the lenders who provide the debt, and then of course you've got, when we say grantors, it could be a government institution that either provides that is the off-taker or is providing a guarantee. So there are complex interactions between all of them, and all of these need to be documented. But by documenting all of these and by negotiating different nuances in terms of the relationships, we have seen successful financings of projects. Eva, you mentioned the Baraka project that was done in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, and it was done within a country that had zero nuclear projects, zero policy even, and it was all brought together in one space. And so we've got, I've asked the audience to, join in Slido. And obviously we're a little bit short on time, so we can't take all of your questions. But I can tell you that so far, the results is that the biggest number of audience attendees are accountants, followed by lawyers, and an M&A specialist. So very interesting group that we're seeing out there. So now we have just 6 minutes left, and please keep your cameras on to the speakers and to the audience members as we finish up with the last few minutes. We have 6 minutes left, and I'm going to ask each of the panelists to now give us a 1 minute on why you think women in nuclear, global or finance, is necessary for you. I'm going to start with Dominique Muyo and move on to Melina. Mrs. Muyo, 1 minute. Why is WiN Global important?
The WiNFIN group aims to bring together women working in finance across the nuclear value chain to share expertise, understand the specific financial, regulatory, and risk challenges of our industry, and strengthen informed decision-making. So WiNFIN seeks to increase the visibility and influence of women in financial leadership positions where the investment and strategic choices are made, and obviously involving financing partners. I would have been very short.
Brilliant, fantastic, and thank you. You couldn't have summarized it better for us. Thank you. Over to you, Melina.
Thank you, Doreen. From WiN Finance, we expect it to become an essential platform for addressing today's challenges in the nuclear sector. As you know, the global conversation is evolving with new stakeholders from, of course, finance, technology, emerging industries shaping the future. So WiN Finance can provide concrete tools and guidance for the WiN global community and the broader sector, while also staying aligned with the regional perspectives that I mentioned before, and also with the locally driven initiatives that WiN Global promotes. So we also see it playing a key role in ensuring WiN has an active presence in all finance-related forums. For example, from my region, by facilitating connections with relevant actors in Latin America, including the Inter-American Development Bank, the Development Bank of Latin America, and fostering, of course, collaboration across all regions. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you for that. Eva, why is WiN Finance or WiN Global important to your expertise groups?
In addition to what has already been said, in German there's a proverb, proverb that says, without money, there won't be any music. So money is essential. Monetary aspects are essential to everything we do, including nuclear. And there have been all these criticism that nuclear cannot compete because of the financing issues and who's going to finance. So when I met Doreen first in London last summer, and she mentioned she wanted to found this group, I thought it was just so relevant, and I'm really so happy that she decided to go ahead with it. And I'm very proud to have somebody like Doreen with all her energy and activities joining the WiN Global Groups of Expertise community, and I'm sure we will all benefit from it. Thank you, Doreen. You are doing a great job.
Bless you. That's very kind of you, Eva. Thank you. And let me go through the three partners, a minute each for you, please. Starting with you, Lou. I know you briefly mentioned the role of financing, but why specifically for Westinghouse?
Well, as you might know, Westinghouse, we are starting and being part of critical on the building of new builds in the United States, but also around the world, in Asia, in EMEA. And I think of finance is critical, and obviously it's finance, insurance, legal. That bit is fully integrated on the model for nuclear. And what I'm expecting from this group, and same as Eva, during when you reach out to me, I mean, this is so time convenient for two reasons in my perspective, beyond everything that has been added up already. First is the education piece, and the second piece is the innovation piece. I mean, we're going to need to solve in a very creative these business models and these value propositions in a very different way. And I think this group is critical, and I think the large participation that we are having in the launching, it is a proof of it. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Hamina, why is the role of WiN of finance important? And while you speak, for the slides so that everyone else can see, it's an overview of what we do, just to reiterate that financing is needed not just for land-based, but also maritime nuclear, and we can go in depth into that. Hamina.
I would say that it's extremely important in order to exchange between, as I was saying, the different actors involved in the financing of nuclear projects, as you were saying, Doreen, whether on land or maritime, and especially to understand each other's concerns, requirements, in order to be able to finance this kind of projects. And this will be an excellent platform to have people from the different, as I said, the different sectors that are concerned by this.
Fantastic. And the final words in terms of why are the two of you joining women in nuclear finance?
Insurance is a very small part of the finance project, the financial part of the project, but it's very important. And it's carried by nuclear suppliers that, let's say, form the basis on all this project. And yes, I think I would say that we need to be part of this, let's say, big family of the nuclear supplier, or the person that provides services for the global project. And so what we like in this project with WiN Finance is perhaps the values that we share, because to be part of it, we have to share, we have to coalesce, and we have to attain a common knowledge about what is a project and what is the aim of the project at the end. And yes, it's our way for us to anticipate all the issues we can share all together and to connect. So thank you very much, Doreen, and thank you very much for
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Alexandre. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being part of the very first webinar that WiN Finance has put together. But we specifically wanted to introduce you to the Women in Nuclear Global Leadership Team to give you the opportunity to recognize that there is a broader collaboration globally, across various technical expertise groups as well. And all of these various groups, whether it's agriculture, medicine, experiments, you name it, all of it is going to need some level of financing. And from us within Women in Nuclear Finance, the idea is to collaborate across all the different technical expertise groups. And so with that, I thank you for your time. This webinar will be shared with those who registered, and we look forward to having you at our next event. Send me a message. When you join WiN Finance, there is a question there that says, what do you want the first event to be? Share your thoughts there. And of course, get in contact with any of us on your financing journey. So with that, I thank the speakers for your time, and I thank the audience. Thank you.